All right, guys. I'm just doing a little video sharing my opinion with you guys. I'm wearing my favorite team logos, University of Kentucky. That's right, go Wildcats. And of course, the Fighting Caucasians. You know, great team. Great team. Love it. What I'm getting ready to give you is the opinions of someone who has been referred to as a Christian fundamentalist, even though I don't think I am, but other people do, so whatever. About this whole drama going on with Trench Crusade. Now, Arch has been putting out videos about it, and I am kind of a fan of Arch, even if he does roll his R's in a weird way that I can't, and therefore I don't care for. Um, the real issue he is talking about or complaining about is that Trench Crusade, the creators are basically straight up liars. They're just constantly lying to people. And that they're so much more interested in appeasing leftists and whatnot that they kind of have painted themselves into a corner. An example being, and I mentioned this before, where one of their mods said that there's no definitive good and evil in a setting where the forces of humanity who worship, Jesus Christ, are battling literal Cambian type demonic entities from hell. And then when you look at the art, you see on the one side, desperate trench pilgrims, all tattered looking, but the forces of Europe, like the tank breakers of Prussia or the forces of New Antioch, and they just look like human soldiers, but with crucifixes and crosses and stuff all over them, right? Um, Whereas you look at the Heretic Legion guys, and as Arch pointed out, I'm not trying to rob his point of view here, but I am going to repeat some of it. You have heretics. I have a whole painted Heretic Legion army where you have weird demonic wolf creatures and people running around with like demonic babies hanging off of their hips and carrying skulls, upside down pentagrams carved into their foreheads. And then you read the lore, and it's like the people in New Antioch, basically, they go there and volunteer to fight in the trenches for the good of humanity and the church, which, in my opinion, as basically, again, the person accused of being a Christian fundamentalist, seems like, yeah, that's a good thing, right? I mean, if there's this huge war between the absolute forces of evil and the forces of humanity and whatever, then obviously you would, I think most people can agree that they would want to be on the side of humanity and not on the side of monstrous cannibalistic you know SA demons straight from hell and the most evil humanity to ever exist. I mean, your average Heretic Legion soldier, the average one, is far more evil than any historical figure you can think of. They have literally walked to the gates of hell, been inspected by the inferno, and been shown to have not a single scrap of goodness in their heart. So these are the most evil beings. I mean, pretty much living demons is what we're talking about. Creatures of such intense evil that it's hard to even imagine, for us, sitting in our comfortable homes and whatever, right? So they're the creators of Trench Crusade trying to say that there is no good guy or bad guy in the game. That's just absolutely based on the lore they wrote. That is definitively incorrect, right? Obviously, the good guys are the ones fighting for the survival of humanity, so that humans will not be enslaved, eaten, turned into, fleshlights, etc., by the forces of hell. Meanwhile, okay, the second thing I want to mention, there's three parts. The second thing I want to mention is during their announcement, and this is as per Arch. I haven't looked at their announcement, but I don't think Arch would lie about it. So I'm going to take him on his word here. They are going to develop the New World because they found a person from South America, and they're going to let that person develop the New World because by doing so, they avoid, I guess, this weird colonialism they're worried about. And that worries me, even though they fixed it inadvertently. They didn't know they fixed it, but they did. But it worries me that in their mind, they are so absolutely racist. And this is racism. When you choose a person based on their ethnicity to do a job that doesn't have anything to do with anything. I mean, uh, what if there's European or whatever people out there, African even, because that have studied the history of South America and the New World for decades. But what these people are basically arguing is that by bent of the blood pumping through this person's veins, they know more about ancient South American culture, etc., than a person who spent 20 years as a professor in Mesoamerican history. That's basically the argument. And it is at the very surface of it just absolutely racist and illogical, right? And I mean, you guys already know that I reject the New World was never settled bullshit. And I've went so far as to create an entire New Antioch army made up of Americans. I've showed it off. Like I just recently printed out some armored suits. And while I used the New Antioch style armored suit machine gun, you can tell this armored suit is not the standard New Antioch mechanized power armor, right? This is the American type. And I have troops that are literally carrying Garans. They've got the American star on one shoulder, the rank on the other shoulder, and one of them's got a banner, and it's like it's the American flag, but different. Instead of 50 stars, it's got one big star, and then it's got the red, white, red stripes, right? And anyone who doesn't like that can suck my nuts. You know what I mean? Because I live in America, and I'm about sick and tired of these Euro trash pieces of shit and self-loathing Americans wanting to make games in which the United States doesn't exist, despite the fact that these people, if they don't live in America, and one of them I think is European for sure, but any of the non Americans that work on this game probably live in a country that receives aid from the United States. We're literally financing some part of their government or something, right? So it's like, what? Maybe that's why they hate America, because they know that without us, they probably wouldn't even exist. Like if you're British, maybe you hate America because deep down in your heart, if it weren't for us, you'd be speaking German or Russian right now, right? Also, I want to point out that as a large part of my family are Russian, and as I myself have Slavic blood, no one can question anything I'm saying because, according to the new rules, Slavs are persons of color and oppressed people. Therefore, any of you who disagrees with anything I'm saying, if you're a leftist, you're automatically a racist. So stop. Just don't disagree. You have to listen to me. As a matter of fact, by their rules, they should have contacted me to write the lore for the Slavic nations instead of them doing it. Because unless they're Slavs, then why are they even having a opinion on Pravoslavia? You know what I'm saying? And of course, I say this tongue in cheek because no, I don't consider Slavs to be people of color. I mean, look at us. And no, I don't think a non-Slav has no right to write whatever they want about a fantastical Russia or whatever. I don't. However, yeah, there's a lot of hate with these guys. So we've got racism, hatred, and then the third thing though, which now Arch did not like this. This thing really appeared to, at least to me, upset Arch. And that is that the creator said there's no lore in the game. Nothing is canon, is what I mean to say. Therefore, whatever they write, you can ignore and you can write your own stuff. And see, Arch, of course, he's a canon junkie. That's his thing. He's a lore junkie. He loves canon. And I dig it. Okay, if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. That's fine by me. You know, knock yourself out, right? But them saying that to me, again, the person of color, self-professed Christian nationalist, blah blah blah, I view as a good thing. And I'll say it again because I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is the only reason I continue to even be excited about this game, because no matter how bad they keep screwing the lore up, like their new map is absolute trash. You know, I looked at it and I'm just like, no, that's trash. And their weird thing where they're like, we're trying to do everything to make sure no one gets colonized. And it's like, why would you do that? I mean, I will argue with any one of you leftists right now, if any of you had the balls to explain to me how the colonization of the planet, which started in the I would say even the early Stone Age, if not the Neolithic, at least, people moving around, colonizing regions. It's like the people that everyone in America wants to call Native Americans, they're Asians. They colonized America, right? China has been reformed a billion times. The Qing dynasty conquered Zhao and I forget the name of their kingdom. It doesn't matter. The Mongolians ran roughshod over everyone. Russia, especially under Tsar Ivan the Great, pushed their borders from the Baltic all the way to the Pacific, pretty much. I mean, the Turks conquered Cappadocia, etc., etc., etc. I mean, our entire universe is full of colonizations, and as often as not, these colonizations were positive things. The Spanish / European colonization of the New World, absolutely a positive thing because it put an end to cannibalism, child sacrifice, torture, the worship of, I would call them demonic entities, etc. So when people start talking colonization's a bad thing, I'm like, no, it's not. Absolutely, it's not. I mean, it's absolutely not. And so when they say you can make your own lore, I'm all like, okay, that's the only thing keeping me in the game because I don't ever really intend, other than talking about it a little bit, I don't intend on going to anywhere and trying to tell people how to game or anything like that, right? But in my canon, obviously the Russian Empire does exist. And while I'm willing to go along with the fact that Constantinople fell because that adds some drama to the game, plus it gives the ex-members of the Eastern Roman Empire and the Varangians a goal, the reconquest and liberation of Constantinople and the rest of Eastern Rome. I will never agree that the capital should be Novgorod, not Moscow. I will never agree that Kiev is not part of the Russian Empire, as well as Finland and the Baltic states. They would all, at this time period, have been, made part of. And I will never agree that no one in the 800 years since the Hell Gate opened up in Jerusalem ever tried to settle the New World. I will not agree to that. I also will not agree that the forces of hell dominate all the oceans because it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. I don't know how much material the forces of hell are shipping out of the inferno to their port in Jerusalem or near Jerusalem, actually, because Jerusalem, I don't believe, is on the coast. But yeah, they'd have to be in Tyre or something like that, Tel Aviv. But anyway, it's not, they simply do not have enough people to build as much naval power as the rest of the world combined could easily build. So the idea of wolf packs of submarines full of demons doing hit and run attacks, sure. The idea that they dominate the ocean, no. That's just pure ludicrous, ridiculous stupidity. Even in a fantasy game, things still have to make a little bit of sense, right? So it is my opinion, to end the conversation, that the people who created Trench Crusade are, in fact, idiots. They're dumb. And they just lucked out onto something that a bunch of people jumped onto, many of whom were not aware of the actual, intent of the people behind it. Two, all the leftists that are actively trying to claim that the demon side is the good guys, well, I mean, that makes sense since we all know that leftists are evil anyway. I mean, leftism by its very nature is evil. It's based on oppression and theft, and various other things. And the LGBT people who are proudly waving, rainbow flags with demonic symbols all over them. Okay, I'm not surprised. You have rejected God and chosen a lifestyle God disagrees with, and then tried to mainline it to other people, um, especially children. So right off the bat, yeah, of course you're going to side with evil because that's the lifestyle you have chosen. You have absolutely chosen to be on the side of evil. But the saving grace, as I said, is the fact that they don't want to actually take responsibility for anything having to do with this game they've accidentally created that got popular mainly because of people like me who look forward to a game where you can fight your army of good versus, the army of evil, because you in your heart want good to win, obviously. I mean, what kind of human would not want God to defeat Lucifer? I mean, based on, even if you don't believe in Christianity, just base your thoughts on call it mythology if you want. Um, who would you rather win if they were actually real? It's like the argument, if God doesn't exist, but you lived your whole life serving God, are you going to be worse off than if God does exist and you lived your whole life in defiance of God? That's basically the argument here, right? So the fact that they've said, hey, make your own canon, don't worry about what we say. Yeah, that's their saving grace, because then people like me who like the look and the idea of the game and the miniatures and stuff, even though I have to admit, War Games Atlantic has started putting out some pretty decent World War One weird kits that allow you to do your own thing. And I think they might even have their own rule set for playing in a, basically a World War One full of demons and weird shit. Because another side thing, the people who created this game can't copyright it. I mean, they could copyright like their art, right? That they made, sure. But they can't copyright the mechanical system, and they cannot copyright the idea that demons from hell, which are, you can't copyright, the archdemons like Belial and shit. You can't copyright those names, Beelzebub or any of that. You can't do it. And you also can't copyright World War One, no matter how weird you want it to be. You can't copyright any of this. And I think that's why some people like Arch might consider it a bad idea for them to be like, hey, make your own lore because nothing is canon, right? But the reality is they couldn't make anything canon if they wanted to, because they can't copyright literally anything except for the actual art and the word for word writings that they have done. But the overall broad idea that they're positing here, uncopyrightable. Anyone could sit down and make up their own Weird War One, demons versus the defenders of humanity, and the church, etc., all day long, and there's absolutely nothing they could do about it except cry. And that's like I said, even War Games Atlantic has started putting things out that are kind of in the trend. There's like, you don't even have to buy any of their product to play the game. There's like 20 companies online putting out STLs for the armies that you might want to play this game. And in almost every case, the newer stuff that's getting put out is better than what they themselves have put out. It's like, I'll show you these guys. These guys are the company recently released them. Of course, I'm using different arms on these guys, but the arms that came with them are pretty good. I just really like the BARs. But there's a company that's putting out like a weird World One, but the fall of Byzantium kind of thing. So, I mean, of course it's taste, but let me see. Like this guy, the Guapo Cleric, I think he's called. I mean, he's made by a different company. This guy right here, which is kind of based on the artwork from their game book, that's not them though. They didn't make this. Some other company made this Prussian tank cutter guy. And there's just so much you can do. So yeah, they can't copyright anything, and you don't got to buy anything from them, and you can use your own lore. So in my opinion, because these people are a bunch of weak lying bitches, I mean, I hope they enjoy the money they've made now, because I don't think the people they're trying to appease are the same kind of people who would be willing to spend a bunch of money on their products. Maybe a few of them here and there, but overall, no. We all know how this goes already. It's like the guys who are always crying for the most leftist shit, they're never the ones that actually buy anything, hardly. And the fact that they've said you can do whatever you want, well, okay then. There you go. Problem solved. if they put out a bunch of crazed leftist nonsense, you can ignore it and just do whatever you want. And that would be my suggestion to you, right? Just do whatever you want. Because, again, these people hit upon something. I don't think they had any idea what they were hitting upon. And I don't think I think they're so captured by their own leftist beliefs that they are incapable of actually making a good game because they're too worried. I mean, you can't make art if you're super worried about how everyone else is going to feel about it, especially leftists who are just all emotion and no logic anyway. So I'm going to end this video. God bless. And if you're going to play Trench Crusade, I hope you enjoy it very much. And if you want alternative miniatures for it, just go on My Mini Factory or Colts 3D or whatever. You will find so many alternate minis for like that are so much better. Like this guy right here. I think this guy was free. It's a chorister, right? This guy is way creepier and way better. You know, he's like covered in gashes and he's got like railroad spikes driven through him and just all over the place. And he's holding his own head up with the blood. You know, I mean, yeah, that was a free miniature. That was not made by them. This lady right here, Artillery Witch. If you're playing Heretics, you definitely want an Artillery Witch. She is way better than the one that they actually released. Right? You can see the portal in her cape that she's opened up and the actual mortar rounds or artillery pieces or whatever, self-propelled grenades whipping out of it. I mean, as far as for like, say you wanted to play the Cult of the Seven-Headed Serpent, you could download this Angel of Death miniature and use that for your Praetor. Like I said, there's literally nothing they make that there's not better options of online, made by companies that probably don't hate your guts and aren't going to lie to you, and that you can be proud of supporting. So again, God bless you all and have fun gaming and don't worry about it, you know? So let me get this uploaded and I will chat with you later.